Right thinkers, did Adam's sin automatically make everyone a sinner? There's a school of thought that believes that sin is dead. That is, Jesus dealt with sin and sin no more exists, meaning everyone is saved. Is this true? This is universalism. There's another thought that says that when a man is born into this world, he is born as a sinner. Are you a sinner by virtue of birth? If you are a sinner by virtue of birth, what happens to believers that sin? So in this video, we'll be answering the question, who is a sinner? Is sin dead? So let's dive in. The idea that Adam's sin automatically made everyone a sinner is a wrong interpretation of the text by Paul in Romans chapter 5 verse 12. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. The phrase all have sinned was used by Paul earlier in chapter 3 verse 26, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. So this is dealing with the falling short of the glory of God. Does that mean that Adam's sin automatically made everyone a sinner? That will be a direct imposition. For as by one man sin entered, meaning it was not there, it was a direct introduction of a foreign element. Paul said death passed upon all men. If what Adam did was automatic, Paul wouldn't have used the word passed upon. Rather, he would have said death is upon all men. Passed upon shows a gradual process, meaning it was not automatic. This means that this wasn't a once and for all event. It has to pass upon. Man couldn't have sinned just by being brought into this world. That will mean that Adam made a choice for humanity. The next verse shows that for until the law, sin was in the world, but sin was not imputed when there is no law. This again shows that sin wasn't definite. The context of the verse lets us see two figureheads, Adam and Jesus. Adam as a figure and type of Jesus. Paul rather lets us see Jesus as the substitute for sin and Adam as the progenitor of sin. Adam's sin formed a pattern, and not that it became the sin of humanity. The pattern of transgression Adam said is unbelief. So now let's ask ourselves the question again. Is everyone born from Adam born a sinner? We can answer that question starting with his son Abel. In Hebrews chapter 11 verse 4, Abel was declared righteous by faith. He believed God just like Abraham, and it was counted for him for righteousness. This let us see that God gives equal salvation opportunities to all men. You choose to either accept or reject. Having understood this background, now let's look at the question, who is a sinner? The word sinner or sinners can only be seen in its context. You can't generalize its usage. Paul will help us understand this better in Romans chapter 5 verse 19. For as by one man's disobedience many were made sinners, so by the obedience of one shall many be made righteous. Many were made sinners by one man's disobedience, not all, just as many were made righteous by one man's obedience. It would therefore mean that if Adam's sin automatically made everyone a sinner, then Jesus' death will automatically make everyone righteous. Believing this is universalism. That is, everyone is saved by Jesus' death, meaning sin is dead. This is not true. If sin is dead, it means that man no more had a choice, but God has presented a choice for man to either choose life or death. For as by one man's disobedience, many were made sinners. The word made is the Greek word katistemi. It means an appointment or ordination. To ordain means to make to function. That is, the functioning is as a result of the ordination. Ordination is not automatic. It is used for offices and functions. When you place someone in a position to act, he can choose to act or not act. That you ordain a high priest does not mean he was a high priest from birth. Let's look at the word sinner. The first time it was used in the New Testament books was in Matthew chapter 9 verse 10. And it came to pass, as Jesus sat at meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. The word sinners here was from a public perception. It was the Pharisees and Sadducees that called others sinners, which means it's from a public description. Jesus told them in verse 12 that they that are whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. Jesus was simply saying that he didn't come for those who didn't need him, like them who were complaining that Jesus was eating with sinners. Jesus used a figure of speech in verse 13. He said, I am not come to call the righteous, but the sinners. Jesus used the word sinners here for those who needed help, and called the Pharisees and Sadducees who claimed they were righteous to typify their hypocrisy. So you can see the word sinners used for those who rebel against God's word in Matthew chapter 26 verse 45. Then cometh he to his disciples and said unto them, Sleep on now, take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. This text speaks of Judas's betrayal of Jesus into the hands of rebellious men. They rebelled against the message which Jesus preached, so he called them sinners. Also in Luke chapter 5 verse 8, Luke wrote,
When Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord.
Peter called himself a sinner, but Jesus didn't call him that in chapter 6 verse 32 and 33.
For if ye love them which love you, what thank have ye? For sinners also love those that love them. And if ye do good to them which do good to you, what thank have ye? For sinners also do even the same.
Jesus used the word sinners for those who were not morally right in the society. He borrowed the word from the vocabulary of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Jesus' usage of the word sinners was relative to public's opinion. Now let's dive into the epistles. Paul was called a sinner in Romans chapter 3 verse 7. This was people's opinion of him. But God commanded his love towards us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Romans chapter 5 verse 8. This is specific and cannot be applied to the whole of humanity. Gentiles are also called sinners in Galatians chapter 2 verse 15.
We who are Jews by nature are not sinners of the Gentiles.
In verse 16, Paul changed the narrative that Gentiles are called sinners by the works of the law.
Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by faith of Jesus Christ, even we have believed in Jesus Christ that we might be justified by the faith of Christ, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified.
This was to negate what he said in verse 15. A sinner can seek to be justified by the law, but since no man is justified by the law can be used to justify sinners. The law defines who a sinner is. The reason you cannot be justified by the law is because the law declares everyone guilty. The big question is, do believers sin? The answer is yes. Now, how do you address believers who sin? James called believers who walked in the flesh sinners. James chapter 5 verse 20.
Let him know that he which converted the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death, and shall hide a multitude of sins.
James is talking about the believer. Look at the preceding verse.
Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one converted him.
James is dealing with believers who walks in error. In conclusion, you can see that context defines who a sinner is. It can be those who oppose the message of Christ. It can be those who seek to be justified by the law. And it can also be those whose conducts are in error. Therefore, it would be wrong for you to say that sin is dead. The Bible never said that sin is dead. Jesus dealt with sin and offered us forgiveness. Adam's sin didn't automatically make everyone a sinner, just like Jesus' death didn't automatically make everyone righteous. The sin of Adam was a pattern for everyone who will not believe the gospel, just as the death of Jesus was a pattern for everyone who will believe the gospel.